All right, we're live. Thanks, Frank.
Live.
Live.
GM, everyone.
That's how you know we're really live, because Frank is an introduction.
Because we put AI dog barking throughout this track. And so, yeah.
We are definitely not AI. But welcome. This is our Wednesday edition of the Good News Show, our Superchain Spotlight. And we are now, I believe, in week 8.
I'm no longer going to count. And I think the mystery of like rearranging your wallet is just part of the fun. This is episode 72.
Yep.
No, just keep gaslighting everyone.
Yeah, each week I'm like learning something new about how to make it a little bit more seamless. Oh my God, Frank.
This week we're A/B testing dog barks. So strap in, everyone.
He barks at nothing. So here we are.
Then we're safe.
We are completely safe. So we started this show just to really bring attention to everything that's happening on the Superchain, but it's particularly special this week because, of course, Onchain Summer kicked off.
Yes.
And I've been doing little roundups Monday and Tuesday just to kind of get a sense of the activity that is happening. And I have to say, I am like so blown away by how much innovation, creativity is already happening. So I figured today we can talk about some of the things that you and I are both doing personally with Onchain Summer. We're, of course, going to do some FUD busting, as always, a couple of shout outs. But for now, let's just kind of get right into it.
Yeah.
I have a whole pot of coffee here. Just
sounds good.
We are prepared.
Just plus oneing you, the Superchain chaos, but in the best of ways, has kicked off with On-Chain Summer.
Yep.
Seeing some stuff that people are already like making, some done by big teams, some done by like individuals, some from like small teams that are like strangers. Like it's really cool to see. Not only that it's happening, but that like things are already starting to kind of take shape this soon, and we've still got like 25 more days of this thing. So I'm excited for the teams that are like, we finished this thing, now we'll do a second thing. Because I think that's
the energy, right?
The rippling effect, right? Is that like teams build one thing, they get feedback, or something else comes up, and then they're like, okay, well, like let's chase this as well. So it'll be pretty exciting, I think, to see the end result and how much the community and users current and new will get to experience because of events like this. So it's super cool for Base to be doing this, as well as I think Optimisn just announced they're jumping in with some stuff too. So that's super cool.
So while we're chatting, I'm just going to drop this in a couple of places because I know there's a few.
Oh yeah, sorry, jumping the gun. We should tell people where we're at.
No, we're good. We're good. Yeah, I love this kind of like spirit of like hitting the ground running. Also, the spirit of collaboration that I'm seeing. Grab smart people, get together. If their skills are outside of your skills, put a solid team together and just get to work and hit the ground running. And the other thing of like ideating and building out loud, like that is so novel to Web3.
Yep.
Or is it?
Yeah.
In the dev world, is that something that's new?
I think that it depends on how loud. I think some teams have like internal like project trackers and things like that. So they're building it out loud, but within their companies. Whereas I think some open source folks are very, very transparent and talk about stuff all the time. But I think more so on Web3, it's almost the default. Like if you drink the full Kool-Aid, it's transparency, right? And so even myself, with the thing that we're building together, I've been kind of doing daily updates of just where we're at, because one, I think it keeps me honest on like how I need to push the ball today, like further, right? So it's building that cadence in, but also like it's someone might jump in and say, oh yeah, how did you solve that? Because that's similar to what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, and then sometimes it'll be a reply chain, sometimes it'll be a direct chat kind of thing. But yeah, it's empowering others through, working out loud, and then everyone kind of wins by default, not only for the end result, but also from like some of the process where if something that I'm doing that I've solved can help save somebody like a couple hours of struggling through it. Now that fence for them to deliver something has been lowered, so they can more quickly get over it. And so, yeah, I think it's a way that we all win together, and I think it's like the best ways, because it's more for like we're building it because it needs to be built, rather than I'm building this because I see a market that I can disrupt or what have you. Like all that stuff can still be true, but by doing it out in the open, everyone wins. So
So I would love to just level set for folks who perhaps are feeling a little lost in all of the activity. There's a couple of things that are going on at the same time. So just to tell people like where the line is, how they can apply, if they're eligible, etc. So tomorrow, June 6th, is actually the last date to apply for retroactive funding from Optimisn. That is separate to On-Chain Summer.
Yes.
OP has been doing these rounds for quite some time. There was a little bit of a difference with this particular round in that it is aimed at builders. Now, builders. Jesse Pollock was very clear in his webinar last week that a builder is not just a dev, it is all of the things, anybody who's contributing to an ecosystem. But in this case, it is geared to builders. So people, can you just kind of break down what that is so people know if they're eligible with this deadline coming up?
For the retro grant funding for this round?
Yeah.
So for this, I think On-Chain Summer is definitely like everyone can be a builder. And I really think that like we're going to need more than just devs on solid teams. Even you and I working together, like I'm taking like the technical charge, but being able to bounce ideas off of you or say, what do you think of this? And you're like, as a human, I don't really enjoy that. I prefer this or something different. I think that's like the balance that you need. For the retro grant funding for this last one, it's hyper targeted at builders. And so there's going to be some people that are excluded from this round because you kind of almost need like a contract deployed on base. It had to be deployed by a certain time. So you can't just like rush the gate at the end and hope to squeeze in something. So this one, just again, is super hyper focused where you need like a GitHub repo that's got to be like kind of open source. You need a contract deployed so they can see everything that does it, that it's truly like building something on chain. But beyond that, like looking across the horizon at the next kind of ones, there's some that are hyper targeted towards like governance. There's also, I think, some rumblings of just like they want to empower creators. And so I think throughout this whole on-chain summer, Bases goes through July for like the hackathon part, but I don't think that's where the fun stops. And so I think whether you're an artist or you do kind of content creation or tutorials, like I think there's going to be space for all of those folks to get not only just some rewards, but also get recognition and make connections. And so sometimes it's monetarily driven. Other times there's just like networking and doing your thing and being able to be elevated through that, I think is going to have a lot of substance to it for everybody that's involved. So it'll be exciting to see like once those full details come out for everything else. But yeah,
I'm popping this up because this is actually the Grants Council nomination that just was shared recently. So anybody who's actually wishing to participate on a deeper level with actually being involved in the council that provides the grants can go and do that right here. So let me see if I can drop that URL as well. Benefits of being on the Grants Council. Any thoughts on this?
I mean, I think that the longer term goal of Optimisn, I think, is they've kind of pushed the boulder up the hill, and now we need someone to kind of like chisel away and refine kind of that boulder and make it something that's super valuable that doesn't rely on Optimisn doing all the things. And so the more people that are, if you have interest in kind of literally shaping kind of the super chain and everything that we're going to get as a side effect and what efforts get supported and what efforts get like the amount of support and vice versa, and kind of like that high level thinking of how do we really make the best kind of new internet for everyone. It's a good place to get involved. But yeah, I don't think everyone needs to do it, but I do think longer term, they would probably want to kind of turn things more on to like where it's community driven versus, hey, we made this thing and now we'll support it forever, when I think they've got different areas of focus that they want to kind of push. Whereas the grants and the kind of the farming of how we grow the best crops for everybody, like in a digital space, they're going to need a hand there. And I think it's almost beneficial to have them not be the strongest hand in the bunch. And so I think as this council grows, it will only kind of improve removing biases, getting a lot of different perspectives, and just it's just a better way forward, I think, to not have it be so driven, like connected to Optimisn directly. So yeah, I think it's, if you're interested or you know someone that's interested, this deadline is pretty short, but I don't think it's the only one.
Yeah, and also just to clarify, there are two things up for election. There's a dev advisory board, and there's also a grants council position as well. The developer advisory board will be mainly there to help the wider collective make better technical decisions, and also help non-technical delegates evaluate protocol upgrades and help the grants council assist technical grants. So again, just kind of like what we're doing here, Brock, right? Like a technical person and a non-technical person, we need that kind of interaction to be able to convey what's actually happening in the ecosystem. So
Yeah,
In
I think it's a great
layman's
approach.
terms, in human.
Everyone has values, and I think that's the cool thing is it's the well-roundedness of everything, so everyone can win. And a dev's going to have a blinders to some things, but have a really deep focus on others. A non-technical person is going to have kind of the inverse in some ways, and all the people in the way. So by them having this council that's going to be more blended, and then the technical side too, I just think it's all the right direction, at least from where I'm sitting. So
Yeah, and then one more thing I'm just going to share because it is looming is this is the retro fund.
That's more so what I was talking about earlier. That one's the one that's currently going on. And Optimism or OP has a cool. They've got the retro grants, which is kind of like you did a thing, and now looking back, getting rewards for doing things. And then also the reverse as well, where you can just apply for grants up front. That process is a little more open ended, doesn't have dates. The retro funding is kind of again like rounds of funding, and so this one I think is coming up soonish, and
it's tomorrow.
That's
so
what I thought.
yeah, we're going to drop
I
that.
wasn't sure if it was tomorrow or Friday, but yeah. So if you've done some things and you make sure that you read the kind of requirements for this one, because again, it is on-chain builders, but there's if you didn't deploy a contract by a certain date or have a certain amount of transactions, like there's some things that just would knock you kind of out of the running for it. That's not to say that like your work's not valuable. They just needed some kind of parameters to kind of weed it out before it's like we're all on-chain builders. And so it's really about like what's going to move the needle to get more adoption, more usage, or build for tools for everybody to kind of benefit.
So all of these links are in the comments underneath this video. I'm hoping that this is coming through to X as well. If not, we'll drop them after the live stream. So in addition to everything that's happening with Optimism, and we are hearing rumblings that there are more grants and all kinds of funding coming over the summer as well, that will be more creative focused. So that's exciting. But in addition to that, we also have On-Chain Summer. Now, less deadline centric on this. It is kind of ongoing, but I believe there is something, a deadline coming up maybe late June for applications, but
Applications
nothing
for
On-Chain.
I mean, it kicked off, so I don't know, but I do think like if you're probably late in the game, you can probably apply now.
Yes, let's just kind of quickly go through this form. So what we're looking for, obviously, live on chain this summer, do something that's not been done before, make something that's accessible to everybody. So this is not like for folks who are looking to do like, $200 NFT drops. This is like build something useful, build something that humans can use and keep it as accessible as possible.
Yep.
Any, let me just kind of show the form a little bit here, but anything else that you think we should add here that people should be aware of?
I would jump into the mix. If you're on the fence, just do it. It'd be better to like make an attempt at something than to not. Because I think that last drumbeat of trying to onboard the next billion users, it's going to take all of us to kind of, and again, not go and shill on chain, but like it's becoming more and more integrated, intertwined with everything that we're doing, whether you're on chain stuff or not on chain stuff. And I think just making it approachable. It's like tidying up your house, but also like making sure that you have like all the necessities of like plumbing and like lights and electricity and like things are easy to plug things in. That stuff is the stuff that we're doing now. All the like heavy lifts of like the blockchain and making things like wallets easier, and that's even getting like better with smart wallets, which have just recently kind of come to fruition fully. Yeah, so now's the time. Like we have to build the things that are going to onboard the next folks. So if you have an idea, even if you don't think you can technically execute it, put your name in the hat and maybe you can recruit a team to help you. So
Amazing. Okay, so all of those links are in the comments section, folks. Make sure you don't miss out on these opportunities if you are planning to build something during On-Chain Summer. And then in terms of like talking about it is a little convoluted in terms of all the things that are happening. What is the best? And that's not because of anybody's fault. It's just there really is so many things and so many resources available. We're going to hopefully be kind of the communication center for all of this information and bringing it together. So make sure you're sticking around and tuning into this show each week. But what is the best kind of the best steps that people can take when they are building in On-Chain Summer? They've applied. Like what on a daily basis should they be doing, tweeting, casting, etc.?
I mean, I think there's a couple things that it just depends on what your level of comfort is. Some folks are not social butterflies, so that's okay. There's a Telegram. There is a Discord for Onchain Summer. When you apply, you kind of get links to both. And then outside of that, there's a channel for Onchain Summer. And so the Onchain Summer channel on Farcaster is probably going to be a great spot for you to kind of show your work and your process is what I recommend doing, but also like ask questions. Or if you are one of those folks where it's like, I've got an idea and I can design it, but I don't know how to do the technical stuff. Like that's where you could probably recruit a team. If someone's kind of floating or hasn't kind of landed on an idea yet, that's a lot of times through hackathons. I've got a lot of experience with them. Sometimes there's like these ringer teams that come in and just they're super focused and they like started with a thing and they just go. But then other times there's the floater people that are like, I've got this idea or I've got this skill set, but not this, that kind of come together. And those sometimes are the ones that end up doing really, really well because it's more driven by passion versus like coming in with like this is a thing that we can execute in the time. It's more the people that come in and just find each other and swing for the fences. So it's
in addition to all of this, right? Let's just point out this is another.
I was also going to bring up this. Yes,
it's another separate opportunity. So Onchain Summer, also OP grants, also retro funding, but this is another thing.
Rounds. If you're not familiar with rounds is a thing where a channel owner or what have you can provide almost like a bounty or a bucket of funds, and they'll say anybody that produces quality content in this channel will get a slice. And so it's a big bucket at the beginning, and then a few people post, and then your slice gets smaller and smaller the more things that are there. But the more that you post, you might get multiple slices. And so doing kind of updates in there is a good way to get a chunk of this, as long as it qualifies. So you want to be posting like what you're doing or what you're building, and then just make sure with this one specifically do hashtag, even though we don't do hashtags, but hashtag Optimism, I think it is, or no, hashtag Superchain. That's what it is. So that way they can pull your content and make sure that it fits. And if they like your post because it fits, you'll get a slice. Whether it's big or small is up to however many people enter. But yeah, it's just another way to get funds through creating just activity within the Onchain Summer channel. And so like I've done 2 updates. I know my first one did. First day was awesome because it was like, you're going to get $5,000. I was like, what? And then I woke up and it was very much smaller because more people have jumped on. But again, it's going to keep ticking down. I think this first round of this is 10 days left, I think. So within the next 10 days, if you get some content in there that meets, kind of shares what you're doing or what your team's doing, it's a way to get a slice of the OP that they've put up. And then I think they might be doing multiple rounds of this throughout the Onchain Summer. So just keep building and keep updating.
I'm just gonna. We did do this yesterday, but just a quick kind of scan through. Look at this. Onchain Summer is going absolutely vertical worldwide. Woo-hoo! Yep. Bunch of really exciting things happening from builders, developers, creators. Lots of very meme-tastic. Lots of fun. Bounty caster as well. Should we talk about that? Because there's bounties available as well. So all of this magical internet money.
Yeah. There's Bounty Caster has also, I think there's a bucket. I don't know what the total amount is after this, but there's been, so in addition to Onchain Summer, in addition to the rounds, in addition to like all these other things, Bounty Caster has kind of like a side pot of businesses or individuals that are saying, you know what, if we've got all these builders together, I need this built. So it's like, if you do have the technical chops, and some of it's not even technical, some of it's like, I need this data reorganized or whatever. It's a good way to just pick up side gigs really quickly, and you claim it. And then if they approve that it's good, it pays out like instantly, or you just claim it through a frame, I think. And then you're all set. So it's a crazy way to do decentralized kind of gig work if you have the skill set that they're looking for. So definitely worth a look if you've got time. I think I picked up a few of them just throughout because someone's like, I need this. And I'm like, I don't care about the bounty, but like here, I have that ready to go. But yeah, it's a good way to kind of pick up something. I know somebody that like, that's their job right now is they just go through and do like a handful of bounties a day, and then that's how they're paying their rent. So interesting new world that we're living in.
It really is, you know, like the more and more I'm on chain, like the more excited I am about just this ability to do commerce, ability to kind of send money between friends and family with ease. Like it just is becoming more and more seamless. The friction is being removed on the daily. So very excited. And just in terms of like the reach and the potential that you have to like hire people overseas, you know, give opportunities to people who are perhaps in places that wouldn't otherwise be able to have these opportunities. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's bust some FUD. We have a little section here called FUD Busters. I'm going to put the banner up right now, but we are going to FUD bust on Nook. Talk to us, Brock. What happened with Nook?
So I don't think that it's necessarily FUD, but I think there's some questionable sentiment. I do think that it fits into the category, so happy to kind of demystify that. But like in no way are we saying like Nook rugged anybody or anything like that. But if you're not aware, Farcaster, one of the cool things for all of it, and most of us use like Warpcast by default, but there's a lot of other clients out there. Nook was another one that was kind of rising, and a lot of people tried it, really liked it. If you've ever used X or Twitter, the UI looks very similar, but it had some unique features and stuff like that. The founders have come out and said, after some debate back and forth, they found that they just don't see a path forward at the current landscape, and so they're going to be sunsetting it, which is disheartening for some folks because it's like that was my daily driver or whatever. I was bouncing between that Warpcast probably on a weekly basis, where I would just jump in on Nook and just try a different UI to see what it was like. And I enjoyed it. So the FUD part comes into like, why didn't they see a path forward? And I don't know if anyone has those answers other than them. But I will say that with like, I think we've got some areas for growth. I think Farcaster's website really only promotes Warpcast. And so that becomes the default. And then it's about a behavior thing. I think Farcaster as a whole still has a very, very small chunk of the global landscape of social media. I do think that it's accelerating. But to have everyone kind of funneling into Warpcast, having a client that has not got a really unique niche or a really unique kind of alternate proposition, something like Dracula, where it's like completely video instead of, I think it is tougher waters to try and capture that market share where you're kind of fighting for crumbs of crumbs. And so I could understand that sentiment. I don't think that that's where we're at now, but it comes down to what are their passions? And it sounds like they've got other ideas that they want to build upon. The coolest thing though, or the silver lining, is that they're open sourcing it. And so what does that mean? That means that there's a fully functioning Farcaster client that is going to be open sourced for anyone to use. And so one, you could just run it on your own if you like Nook and continue on running your very own instance of the Nook client on your very own. Or if someone has an idea, I've had many, and I've kind of like, I know committing to a Farcaster client is going to consume everything that I do. And so I've been kind of dragging my feet. I do think probably it's in the cards to build something soon. But now anyone that wants to do that will have, again, this is an ambitious percentage. I'm not trying to undermine anything, but like it's a fully working app that you're starting with. And so then you can build upon whatever or modify what's there. And so I think that's going to give people a lot of just a huge springboard into the lift of, and again, I haven't seen the code. There might be still work there. So I don't want to say like, oh, it's 90% here or whatever. But it does benefit. So they've built something awesome that people really enjoyed. They're going to open source it so people can then now use that thing that people enjoy already and use that as a launch pad into building new and maybe more powerful niched kind of experiences. And so everyone wins from the efforts that they're doing and the fact that they're open sourcing it. So although if FUD would be like, why are you shutting down if everything's fine? I think with some people's thing, I think it stinks, but at the same, it stinks to see like somebody that was working on a labor of love being saying like, I don't see a future. And I think it's just comes down to like the financials. Like, will we get to enough to support ourselves to sustain everything that we're doing? Or do we put our efforts elsewhere? And I think that's a fair call. It's better to kind of find out sooner rather than later when you stretch really thin or tons of people are using it and then shut it down. But regardless, we all are going to win, and it's a side effect because there's now going to be yet another kind of launch pad into creating new clients for everybody to use.
It's awesome. All right. So one other thing that I just want to pick up on, because I just saw it posted to X, is the smart wallets. So let's just go over here. This is just tweeted out by Aneri. We just launched smart wallets, the 100x better experience that is safe, simple, and smart, and that can onboard the next billion users. Now, just to confirm that Aneri is with Coinbase and also with Base. No mobile app, no extension, no password. One wallet to use across all your apps. Try it out for free with this mint, open to all, but no gas of using a smart wallet. What the heck? Can we talk about this?
Yeah, so base dropped this I think a week or so back, and maybe I'm wrong on whether it was fully released then or not. But it's the kind of newest technology that base has rolled out. They rolled out a bunch of optimism or optimizations earlier in the year that made transactions like even cheaper. This is really trying to remove any kind of friction between everything. There was a Jesse from base posted or reposted like a content where there's like a roundup of the video that kind of walks you through like what is a smart wallet, what are all these things, and I think that is the best kind of source currently. I've yet to finish it, so I don't want to speak on that as far as like everything that goes with a smart wallet. But the idea really is remove like, oh, okay, you want to do on-chain stuff, remove this or install this app or install this extension, and now you want to do something, pull out your phone and do this or do whatever. It's a lot more seamless experience. And I've seen some of like the photos of people using it, and it's just kind of like a little pop, like notification that pops down, tells you that you're doing something, pops up and asks you to like sign. I think it uses a pass key instead of a password or anything like that. So just removing barriers, making it easier for people to just be on chain. I think we're getting to the point where some things will be on chain, like especially with smart wallets coming, they'll be on chain and the user won't even really know. Like they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, I approve of whatever. And like, as long as it doesn't need funds, you're probably not going to see anything. And then when it gets into funds, easing that process through, again, they're backed by like Coinbase, making that kind of easier to jump into crypto or buy crypto. That is, I think, just going to get easier and easier to where it just becomes something that you see every day. So right. It's really cool. I'm excited to build with it.
One more thing on Onchain Summer until we jump into kind of the meat of the show and the things that we want to talk about. I don't know whether you saw this, but yesterday, Jesse Pollock, who is like the hype man, was on Bloomberg TV talking about
I did not see that.
Onchain Summer.
Wow.
How awesome is this? So this is like mainstream news media, Bloomberg. Look at Jesse looking all smart in his button-down shirt, going out to the masses. So, I mean, this is a big signal right now.
Yeah, I think that it's a base as far as I think we moved away from like it's got to be Ethereum or Bitcoin, and like I still think those are there, but all of the fun and excitement seems to be happening on base right now. And I'm sure comments people sound off with whatever their biggest bags are is actually better somehow. But yeah, I think things are happening in a big way on base, and I think it's only going to continue to snowball. And once the devs keep kicking out like cool stuff and the designers start making it even easier to use, and like everybody that's already here and the new folks kind of on board to make it even better, it's just going to continue to be this place or a destination for people to come to have fun and ease the frictions in their lives. Like we already talked about, like gig working through bounties and other things. Like I think once you remove all the friction and you get to like the cool like actual applications like Farcaster, like Warpcast, like all these other things, it just becomes it becomes obvious, right? So I think that's only going to compound as more and more things get built and more and more cool things come along.
All right, look at us, right on the 30 or 31. We managed to compress.
It's like we're pros. Like
we're pros now.
We've done this 84 times.
We've done it quite a lot. Eighth week. But let's talk about some of the things that you're building, that we're building, that's happening. Sure. First of all, if people don't know who Brock is and what he's capable of, you need to go follow him because this man is like the brightest builder, and you're a good human being.
Just a Breadcat. But
giving you flowers, friend. Giving you flowers.
I just keep pushing. I don't. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I just keep going. Stop.
All right, here's what we're going to do. So we're going to talk about Wave Warriors because
yes.
So today is actually World Environment Day. It is also, this Saturday is World Oceans Day. There's a lot of world events around doing good in the environment this month, the month of June. It's also Pride Month. Woohoo! Rocking my Pride bracelet right here. So a lot of things going on. And I had reached out to you a couple of weeks ago, and you've been super amazing and supportive with the nonprofit that I advise on. I've come to you with ideas and you've brought them to fruition. For example, you created a Tokate, digital Tokate as part of the features. But I'm always kind of bouncing some things off you about how we can integrate blockchain technology into kind of the nonprofit sector. And you just ran with this idea and are actively building it now as part of Onchain Summer. So talk to us about what we're calling the giving frame.
Sure. Yeah. So I think at its easiest kind of description, it's a frame that allows you to learn about a cause. And this can work in one way, like a GoFundMe kind of deal for like an individual that's like, my car broke down and I don't know how I'm going to fix it. And maybe the world will be kind and help you out with that if you ask. And so I think that's one avenue. But I think where we were like, can we make this better? Really focusing on like the nonprofit side as well, to say like, look, here's a cause, and we're going to kind of do these campaigns of like, here's what we're trying to do with like right now, and being able to tell the story through a frame, because the click-through rate is crazy on Farcaster, and being able to show how funds are being used, like again, that will be kind of transparent as well, being able to donate easily through a frame, and then finally, I think the biggest thing is the transparency, right? Like, how do I know that like Chad 4265 is actually the owner of a nonprofit that they claim to be? And so I think we came up with a way to do that. And so that is by taking a file, and I'm trying not to get super technical, but a file that will live on the nonprofit's website. And so to be able to kind of prove that they're a part of this and that it's legit, they'll put a file on their website. And I'm building like a wizard for this to be able to like just easily generate the file. And really all it is a file that just says, these are our wallets that we deal with. And putting that on. So then anybody can go to the nonprofit's website, visit this like kind of standardized file, and see the wallets. And because we're doing that, the frame will be able to say like, here's their website, here's the data from the frame, here's where the funds from this frame are going. They match, and they can give you like a green check mark, everything's good. Taking that even further though, because some people might not have the means to financially donate. So sharing is great. And that I think will also help. So easily shareable frame, but taking it a step further and actually allowing to confirm the connected wallet that is to the account that is posted the frame matches that nonprofit's thing, and getting another green check mark that if you tip, whether it's Degen, Ham, Barry, any of these other things, they'll be able to go to that nonprofit and go from there. And from this, just kind of talking to other nonprofits and seeing like what their frictions are and what their like questions are. Also identified some people strategically that might help like resolve some of this the tax issue, or like the cashing out or converting to cash kind of tax events, because they're nonprofits, being able to shelter them from that, to where more of the money that you give actually goes to the nonprofit instead of it going to like, oh, there's a 30% chunk going to the government because of the country that the nonprofit's based out of. So looking into a lot of that, of just how can we not only ease the friction for nonprofits to use this as a way of fundraising, but also for the funders to have more confidence that it's actually going to the place, because who can and then you can verify that yourself. Like the frame makes it easy, but like you can also go and self verify if you don't trust the frame, and see that everything's copacetic before you give your money. And then also looking for, in some cases, working with strategic kind of partners on how can we make sure that we reduce that friction of like, appreciate the ETH donation, but then now they have to sell that down, tax event, and then now withdraw, which could event more fees. Can we streamline that for them as well, all through the power of a frame? And so we're building it. We're building it, and my hopes is that it'll help empower. And my goal really too is to try and make it to where it's no code, where someone will just be able to go to a website, spin up an instance of a form for whether it's a cause or if they're part of a nonprofit, be able to connect their nonprofit stuff from like the tax regulation side, to make sure that everything's on the up and up. And then just make it easy to give to people through a frame and help each other. And then again, those tips also being able to go to them whenever the claim is for that, just lets people, even without money but may have an allowance, whether you've got a couple hundred somethings left, just toss it in the bucket of a frame that you care about for a cause, and that all kind of helps them too. So super excited to get that rolled out.
I actually I've been advising nonprofits in Web3 since 2022, and I had spoke at the Cause Marketing Summit last year in New York, and I spoke about the power of blockchain to, really, well, not just blockchain, but also NFTs, about how nonprofits are really potentially sitting on like an entire additional donation stream. Just like some examples. So I worked with the City Kids Foundation, and they have this physical asset. They had the world's biggest Keith Haring mural. It was a mural that was done on a ship, a boat sail, believe it or not, and it's 9 stories high, valued at like $5 million, but sitting in a warehouse in Long Island, because this is not something that a collector is going to buy, because it's 90 feet, right? You got to have a pretty big wall in your home. And so they started to think about how can we leverage this amazing piece of art to actually make a bigger impact. And what they ended up doing was photographing it in a Brooklyn warehouse, creating it into digital assets. And then we took one of those assets, we still have quite a few more, but we took it to Sotheby's and raised over $25,000. Wow. So thinking about assets that nonprofits probably have sitting in warehouses or sitting things that have been donated, like really starting to think just less kind of one-dimensionally about what assets to nonprofits can be, and thinking about the possibility is really, really exciting. And then you get into this ability to be able to fundraise like really, really quickly. Like we saw Ukraine DAO, right? When all of that stuff started to happen, how people were just galvanized support like almost instantly, and several $1 million were able to get into the hands of people really, really quickly. Like this is the stuff when we talk about blockchain changing lives and changing the world, like this is what lights me up. And I think the tool that you're building, the tool that the potential of it, the ability for nonprofits to be able to be safe and protected with that validation piece is just really, really, really exciting. And I'm hyped that we might get to launch this weekend.
Yeah, I'm working on it. The one this weekend will be like a hard-coded one, but throughout the rest of the month, my hope is to build like a website and all of that makes it just super easy for people to just connect their wallet and make a cause. Because I think it'll just only do good for folks. And if I can use my chops in the technology world and problem solving world to help empower people and solve problems and help people, like that lights me up. So yeah, excited to bring this fully to fruition. And I think it's just another one of the great projects that are happening on Chain Summer. And yeah, excited to keep chatting about it.
Let's talk about the tip piece, because I don't know about you, but like, especially with this new 8 p.m. deadline where you have to tip by 8 p.m. Eastern, like there's been a couple of nights where I'm like, damn it, I didn't tip. Like I totally forgot to, get my tip allocation out. Like a few
phone alarm. That's for 7 p.m. So I get paid, like go tip. And I think it's part of the day. Like I've tried to like set aside chunks of time to actually like have conversations. I kicked one off this morning, probably at a bad time for me, but because I was getting ready for the show, but I met a lot of people, got some new follows that are people that just seem genuine. And so I gave some tips out there, but yeah, I have to have like an alarm now set to like use it or lose it kind of thing. For the most part, I use it, but I also try to avoid like not just going, hey, you here, have 1,000 degen or whatever. And there's another one, ham. The claim for ham is today. Yes. Ham to the fun. If you've been participating, if you have not, like those little floaties, like they're like a ham and like some numbers. All of that is just like another way of similar to degen, but a little different. But yeah, if you have those today, the claim.
Just on that topic, when you say a little different, what makes it different?
It's different in the way that like, so degen's like amount dollar degen. The floaties are like a multiple. And so if you get a ham X like 1,000, that's actually like 10,000 that you're getting, because it's like each one of the icons is one unit, if you will, and you can do multipliers to give multiple units. And so it looks a little crazy at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. Also, you could do like 3 ham emojis, and that would be 30 because each one's 10, kind of thing. So it's just a different way of in which you do that. And I think they're doing some like another chain. So it's similar to, I think it's like an L3 that's coming out today. So a lot of Deployer is the person behind that. They're just always working. So it's cool to see everything they're making.
That's exciting. There was one more piece I was going to mention. Oh, yeah. So you and I were doing kind of napkin math of like, if people were to tip a certain amount to nonprofit, like, and, my allowance is kind of sitting around 2,000 a day. I think you were up to like 8 at one point, right? You were getting.
I started at 5 and then I went all the way down to 3. Like there was like some kind of like glitch or whatever. But with this new algorithm, like reset, somehow I surpassed even like my all-time high. I'm like 8,500 now. But some people are even beyond that. But like for me, like the way that I've been trying to look at it is like, it's almost $200 a day. Like, how can I make this matter? And like, sometimes there's like a slice that I do for like, just like good content that I enjoy. But then I also try and look out for like, who's having a crap day or who's having like whatever. And, or in a different country where like, to me, and again, I'm lucky enough to say like $200, that's like my water bill. Like, I'm used to just those.
Could literally be somebody's rent.
But that's, somewhere else, like that's not just like, that's a wage to work, or that's like, so trying to like have the perspective of like Farcaster is cool because we have so many different communities and different parts of the world kind of showing up. How do we like make their experience better? But then also like, can we change their lives? And so today, instead of me going like, oh, I really like your like reply here or here, like I'll take a slice of that and try and give it to somebody that's maybe outside of my social circle, to try and meet new folks, but also just empower more. And I think that's the cool part about tipping, is that it literally costs me nothing, but I'm able to disperse it in a way where it's impactful. Now, they still have to wait till the end of the month to do anything with it. But at the same time, at the end of the month, that the next day is usually rent, right? So it's just super cool to see the impact that some social experiment, as you will, can empower people and help really change someone's life for the better. So,
but with our napkin math, I was like, okay, so the equivalent of what Brock gets a day, 8,000 DGen, that's around $200 today. That amount tipped to Wave Warriors, or obviously you would pick your nonprofit of choice, but that amount alone that you could potentially just lose for not donating would educate a class of 20 kids on how to become eco stewards. And when you start like breaking it down into like tangible events and tangible things that can happen, it is amazing. And you and I were even talking about integrating something, and again, this would involve other players, but integrating something where people could designate a certain percentage of their daily allowance to either a nonprofit of their choice or to a sector of fundraising. So be it like environmental, they were concerned more with environmental issues, or maybe it was animals, or whatever. They could do that at the kind of wallet level without having any involvement in it on a daily basis.
Yeah, I really think that is a cool move if we're able to do that. Again, with DGen, we have to reach out to DGen. Ham, we'd have to reach out to there are like the folks that, like, again, it's their project. They can do whatever they want. But I do think like with other governance models, there's like delegates. So it's like I have a vote, but I am too busy to like have boots on the ground all the time. So I'm going to delegate my vote for this person that I believe has a similar kind of vibe to me. You could do a delegate of a certain percentage of your allowance goes to this bucket, and then that bucket either goes like just cannons across all of the causes, or you can pick individual causes, or like you said, like a lane of causes that you care about, and then I don't have to worry about it. It just happens. People are just being empowered by this, and I think that would be a cool move, to be able to add like just another layer of this, where it's like we saw it really early on where someone's like, oh, it's like a Brewster's Millions kind of deal of like, I have a set of 1,600,000 points that I have to give out every single day. It's so exhausting. I'm just going to do a raffle and give it to everybody. Like it led to this, like almost like it's too much of a burden to go tip, and try and spend it all every single day. I think this new path is like kind of like level set to where no one has this huge hoard. I think that mine is a little bit big, and if some went away and went to others, like that's fine. But if I took half even and delegated that to a cause where it's $100 a day every month is going there, and I don't feel any pain from it, but I know that good is happening, like I think that's a huge win. And also that can, as we talk about like onboarding the next billion users, if 1,000 people do that same thing, and some causes end up getting $100,000 of net new money that they've never had before, that's a story that's going to like spread, right? And that's going to bring in more nonprofits, but also the people that run those nonprofits and their friends, and like that's how we win, I think. So it's go ahead.
Can I just put like a big lofty goal for Onchain Summer? We've not talked about this, so I'm bringing this to you right now. We launch the frame, we start generating funds, we then potentially do some kind of NFT activation for Wave Warriors in July or August. We've kind of touched on that a little bit. And to actually show by the end of the summer on chain that we could provide a scholarship, right, which we've talked about would be about $100,000 for a indigenous person or underrepresented person to go learn how to reef net fish, which is a sustainable and regenerative form of fishing. Literally teaching a man or woman to fish from funds raised on the blockchain. Like we can make that happen, and I know we can make that happen.
I mean, we sent. It was only like 2 months ago, I think, even though it seems like it was like a year ago, that we sent someone to Africa or to Kenya, I believe, to be with a goat. And so I think we can do a lot. It's just a matter of, are the memes strong enough?
Mobilizing. We got to
Yeah.
mobilize. That's the thing.
But again, I think there's a lot of causes. So I'm excited for all of it to happen and have a blend. But no, that would be, if that happened, like that is a story again worth sharing. But even if we raise a couple like $1,000, I think that it's
That's
more about having the means to do it, so that when the time is right, the right cause, the stars align, like someone really gets help in a way that they maybe weren't expecting it. I think that's the super cool thing.
And that's the point, right? I think we both deeply care about all of the things benefiting, right? Like we want to bring nonprofits here, but having like a flagship like example of like, here's something that we did, we mobilized, we have the tech, and you can do it too, is like so important for onboarding the next 100, 1,000, 2,000 nonprofits. So I love what we're building, and I'm super excited. All right, what else? Because we're both clearly very passionate about this. The Giving Frame. Oh, by the way, I didn't even tell you this, but I set up a channel, the Giving Frame on Warpcast. I haven't done anything with it, but I dropped it in the chat so folks can go follow it. There's nothing on there. It's not exciting, but
come see the empty void. That will be awesome. You said what else?
To do it, but what else? What else did we want to touch on?
There's a lot of stuff. I don't know if we're ready to say on some of the other things, but I do think that if you're not already kind of jumping into the Superchain, even after 87, 90 episodes that we've done, I do think that if you're looking for a callback to earlier of like where to start or how do I jump in, your recaps that you just started doing, like the first one I shared it around because I was just like, whoa, I feel like I'm pretty close to the boots on the ground and like in the know of a lot of things, but just still like there's so much stuff. And I think it just keeps getting, one, it's the optimistic look, it just keeps getting better. But two, I think the ecosystem and the support and pulling people in has just been super cool to see. And yeah, I'm excited to I look forward to those. You said it's Monday and Tuesday are the one when you're doing those?
Yeah, I think we're gonna try. Well, we're in secret talks with somebody who might be helping.
Best way to say secret is to say it on a recorded thing that lives in someone's wallet.
Exactly. We are in talks with somebody who is hopefully going to help us empower us to be able to do this more frequently. And if that happens, we're going to be probably putting out daily content, at least weekdays. Yeah, some of it may be live, some of it may be pre-recorded interviews that we do, but there will be a source of good news about Superchain activities on a daily basis. To that point, can we just actually touch on this really quick? I don't know why this is happening, but for some reason we're getting a bunch of like Twitch like spam. I don't even know where we are on Twitch.
I didn't even know we were on Twitch.
We're streaming somewhere on Twitch.
Probably trending because this is riveting content for everybody that's on Twitch. Like watch video games or us, and people are just like, "I'm with those two."
Or these two nerds.
Shout out to Twitch.
Yeah,
drop the bits, guys.
Never even use Twitch, but all right, we're gonna debut this here because
a bajillion bits, we will get a hot tub. So one of us will, and we might not use it, but billion bits is the bounty.
It's so fun. All right, Good News Show. We started in 2022. We've been showcasing optimistic and amazing, exciting news in tech. But we've not until now really been on chain. We've done a couple of little activations with NFTs, but Brock, you very kindly squeezed this into your schedule and have put together our first page. So folks can go check this out. We are now officially goodnewsonchain.com. Woohoo! Not too much happening here yet, but let's talk about, well, let me scroll through so folks can see. You can read about our little inspiration here. You can see our schedule. You can also, if you want, go and mint the first two blog pieces that we have that are on Paragraph. They're officially on chain. Learn about our partners. We've worked with Timepieces for over a year. We also have worked with the Chopra Foundation. We're hoping to pick that partnership back up shortly. A little bit more inspiration here are social links as well. But let's talk about plans a little bit here if we can.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing is like this show has been like on chain since the beginning. I think more and more of the content under the Good News kind of show umbrella will become more and more on chain. And so we've been talking about one, how can we give back to people that have minted previously? And so I think the hope is to do some kind of token gated content. And so that's why you can connect your wallet at the top. And so that will kind of activate over time more content and just more goodies. And then beyond that, having the shows that you're doing, having like past shows, like you being able to mint that, things like that will be on there. So yeah, this is kind of the quick launch point, and then we'll continue from there to add and refine. I think the biggest takeaway for me is that since I've known you, and the way that I found you is through you trying to elevate others and positive things, because I think if you turn on the news, it's usually pretty grim. Rare is it like somebody that's super optimistic or here's something great that, and I get it, like if it bleeds it leads kind of mentality, but you've kind of like swam upstream and done it the other way on how you can uplift others, and I think being on chain empowers you to do that even more in a lot of unique ways, and ways that are kind of just going to create these experiences that just couldn't exist any other way. And so it's exciting to be at the kickoff point for this new kind of chapter in the Good News show, and all that it is. And just kudos to you for doing it, but then also just again the ripple effects that it's had on other individuals, whether it's artists or people that are featured on your show or interviewed in any of your kind of channels that you do. It's just cool to have this rallying point for you, and just it's an exciting new chapter, I think, that you're on the precipice of kicking off. So,
and I'm so excited that you agreed to kind of jump in with both feet on the tech side, because I could not do any of this without you. And I think what's exciting to me is I'd always thought of Good News as kind of a media company, and somebody who I know in the Web 2 industry said to me, nobody in their right mind would start a media company right now. And I was like, they're right. There's like so much. First of all, AI is going to be such a disruptor of traditional media, but also I don't think that there's many people that have really hit the mark with Web3 media. So the way I'm looking at this is like rediscover and own. So like it's a discovery platform. It's where you can learn. It's where you can amplify. It's where you can just have a different sentiment on what's actually happening in the world. And so, some of the things I'm looking forward to is like finding ways to actually reward other people for amplifying the good, because I think human behavior has shown again and again that we are like clickbait. We fail miserably when we see these kind of like breaking news, like negative, depressing news stories, because we've been conditioned that way, right, by traditional media. So my hope is that we can reward the opposite behavior, reward people actually championing the good. So we're looking forward to kind of exploring that and looking at frames and all kinds of things that we can leverage to help people do that.
Yeah, it's again, I think you're right on the right track, and you're kind of seeming going off on your own, but I think it's you're blazing the trail for where many are going to be able to follow along, and also just again creating that better connection with individuals, as you said, and then as they amplify, it's that shared success kind of thing of individuals that now become a community and then become kind of a rallying cry for future growth, and where everyone benefits. And so it's really cool to see.
Yeah. So you can connect your wallet, but there's not really anything that's going to happen yet. So just
you can connect it though. Think about that. No, nothing gets tracked or anything like that. It's just it's there so that we can start to turn on some of the goodies, as we said. If you've minted a previous episode, or you've minted one of the paragraph things, we'll be able to start again rewarding things. And sometimes it'll be additional content, other times it'll be something else. And just I think that it's a jump off point for something really cool. So
yes, amazing. All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
It is always great to be on the Superchain. I think that, it's things are only heating up, and it can be dizzying at times, but we hope to be a show that can help kind of surface that and curate kind of like to keep you in the know without the dizzy feeling. But there's a lot of stuff happening right now. And so if you've got a moment, set aside even like 10 minutes and jump in on Farcaster and check in what's going on. If you're on the fence again of building something for On-Chain Summer, jump over the fence. Just do it, because we're only going to win as a benefit. So
awesome. All right. This has been, we think, episode 8. Who knows?
48. 48.
Of Superchain Spotlight. We will be back again next week. If you know a builder who's building something extraordinary, or you know somebody who's doing good in the space, hit us up. Hit me or Brock up on Farcaster or Twitter. No, not you on Twitter because you left.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
And let us know, and we'd love to feature them. It doesn't have to be a superstar. We would love to hear from regular folks that are building cool things, and we would love to get them on the show and chat with them. So keep a lookout for my daily updates on what's happening on the Superchain, and we'll see you next week.
Sounds good. See you, friends.
Everybody.